got 70% of its audience to be millennials, under 35. Woohoo, let's have a party, right? You know what that number means? You know what that number means? It means 70% of 265,000. It means they managed to get 185,000 millennials for each game. Congratulations. Now, it's hard for me to work this out. NBC, 40% of Thursday Night Football fans are aged 18 to 49. That's not a millennial because they end at 35. So I've been very generous and I've said only half of the 18 to 49-year-olds are millennials. That still means 20% of 15 million, which means conservatively 3 million millennials watch the games on TV. And the reason they watch the games on TV is, and you can quote me, millennials watch fuckloads of TV. Fuckloads. Here's the data. Now, first of all, before I get to the fuckloads part, they do watch less than other people. You're right. Look, the 27.5 average hours per week drops to 17 hours. Now, you can believe all the horseshit about millennials being different and all that. It's partly true. Most of it is because they're young. And when you're young, you do stuff, trust me, that later on you don't do. When you're young, you have sex with lots of people. You drink a lot more, right? You play sport. But something will happen that demographers called getting old. And you see that pink bar? It will start to go up as other shit goes down. But more importantly, get over the whole millennial point. Yes, they watch less TV than average. But look how much more TV they watch than anything else. Look at the data. Gaze at it. Millennials watch more TV for their video than anything else. Whether you like it or not, the data from Canada from October to December 2016 is in front of you. 5 times more than YouTube and 4 times more than Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter combined. Let's be clear about millennials, because it appears to be a massive problem in Canada. They watch less TV than older people. They're watching less TV than their predecessors in the 80s and 90s. And they watch gradually less TV every year. All of these facts are true. But TV remains the predominant media for video for this group. And the data, when it's presented properly, not behind a walled curtain, is clear. And it will be for many years to come, inarguably. Without TV, your reach for any group, including millennials, is very, very limited. 98% of adults reached each week with TV. 96% of millennials reached each week. 95% of kids. Here's Facebook's own data from the UK, okay? In the UK, if you use Facebook advertising only, you can get to 42 or 54% reach of that famously difficult demographic, right? But if you add TV to the mix, the yellow bar, the red bar is shared reach, and the green bar is what TV adds. This is Facebook's own data, right? Without TV, you cannot get reach. In millennials or any other group in Canada, and for the big brands in the room, that is a reality whether you believe it or not. And I know what you're going to say next, right? But then the second screen, they're not really watching TV. Okay, I'll buy the data, but they're not watching the TV. Here's how they're watching the TV. They're like this. Look at my phone, look at my phone, look at my phone. The TV's over here. This is the next bullshit argument which is emerging for digital. Let's pause for a minute, because one of the things that's most offensive in this discussion about digital is, listen, I don't watch TV anymore. And by the way, neither do my kids. On what planet does that horseshit survive among empirical marketers? The first thing you should have been taught on a marketing course is market orientation. Day 1 of the class. You are not the customer. The data tells you about the customer. And the data tells you that marketers are not like average Canadian customers. I don't have the data for Canada. Here's the UK data. It will be very similar, yeah? Last year, ThinkBox did a piece of research in the UK looking at typical advertisers and which social media platforms they belong to. And then they compared it to average British consumers. Now, you should go, oh yeah, because that's you, right? Here's what the average consumer looks like. See the difference? Now, that's not a problem as long as you're well trained and you understand you're not the customer. That you're over here, very digital, blah, 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 not watching TV, not over here, yeah? But I doubt many marketers are remembering this point about market orientation. And the proof is, the guys at ThinkBox did a very smart thing. They asked a representative sample of marketers to guess how British consumers behaved. They asked them, for example, On an average day, how long does the average consumer spend on YouTube? You know what the average British marketer said? Oh, I think it's about an hour and 2 minutes. You know what the answer is based on people meter data? 16 minutes. Oh, close, you know. Second screen. What proportion of viewing is done second screen of TV? Now, guess what the number is, because I know what you're going to say. You're going to say 50%. That's what all marketers say. You know what the data is based on people meters and diaries in ethnography, not asking people? 19%. 19%. You see the problem? You all think you're the customers, and you're missing the point that the customers are actually the customers, and they don't believe how. Watch out for the multi-screen multiple. It's the next step in the digital tsunami of bullshit. Okay, they're watching TV, but really, they're watching their phone. Watch that number rise over the next 3 years. Final point. But if you're still in the cult, why would marketers spend so much on digital if it's so overstated? I think there are 3 answers. First of all, this is a question posed by Christine Moorman, who's arguably the most famous and smartest marketing professor in the world. Christine's a professor at Duke at the Fuqua School. She does an annual survey of CMOs, and she's been asking this same question. Why do marketers keep spending so much money on social and digital for many years? Because she keeps getting the same results, right? Last year she found about 80% of marketers who are investing in digital social media can't actually show any demonstrable return. But when those same marketers are asked, and what are you going to do about social media in the next 5 years? Oh, I'm going to spend fuckloads more on it, yeah. I don't know it's working, but I'm certainly going to spend more on it next year, yeah? It's a confusing picture, is it not, right? Why do marketers keep spending on social despite lack of results? 3 answers. 1, because it works. I don't think it works as well as most people think. And I think there's a huge opportunity cost in spending your time and effort on that rather than other stuff. 2, because the ideology tells you have to do it. The ideology tells you, if you do TV, you'll look like you're outdated. Do digital video because that's what's trendy. And number 3, and perhaps most important, I think the reason they do it is because my dog kills wallabies even though I train her not to. What? Let me explain. Like any good person, when I went to get a dog, I didn't get a pedigree dog. I went to a pound and I got a badly treated puppy that needed a home. This is my dog, Asia, 5 years ago. And I said to the guys at the Risdenvale Dogs Home, what is she? And they said, she's probably, we got her off the street, but she's probably we got her out of a bag, but she's probably a Labrador, I reckon. And, as she grew up, there's some Labrador there, right? I reckon about 2%, but there is some Labrador there. But what she mostly is a giant fucking dingo, right? She's 98% dingo. I've never fed her once, right? She handles the local wildlife herself, right? And the reason why marketers are spending too much on digital and social is the reason why Asia still kills wallabies, even though I tell her not to. Because it's just in her nature. She can't help herself. Marketers, we love new shit, right? Fucking virtual reality, it's going to be massive, right? Pokemon Go, remember that shit? Oh, fuck, it was the future. Where is it now? Completely gone. And the next one, yes, live streaming, using that organic social shit that doesn't work. So to conclude, how do we get out of this ridiculous, terrifying, suboptimal place? 4 suggestions. 1, get rid of the term digital marketing. It is moronic. Nicholas Negroponte, probably the smartest man at MIT, like air and drinking water, being digital will be noticed only by its absence, not by its presence. He said that 15 years ago. That's how smart he is, right? Let me prove it to you. Name a non-digital advertising media. Go on. Give me one. Yeah, print, because no one would fucking look at a newspaper on a tablet or on a computer. It wouldn't be possible, right? Or outdoor, which is, 50% now is going to be digital, or radio, where more than 50. It doesn't make sense. Digital marketing, it's complete hooey. Everything's digital, and by definition, nothing is. And here's what makes it even harder. Digital media is doing traditional stuff. Traditional media is doing digital stuff. The whole thing makes no sense. Guess what this is? It's what we call in the 20th century a bookstore. It's one of the dozen that Amazon are currently opening down south of the border. Guess what this is? It's a digital billboard. By the year 2020, 50% of profits in many countries for outdoor will come from digital media. Are we going to make outdoor a digital media then and take it out of the traditional bucket at that point? Digital companies here in Canada spending more and more on TV advertising every year to promote their brands. What? Facebook in 2015 spent 61% of its budget on TV advertising. Huh? What? More than 50% of Americans in the last month listen to radio on a computer. You see my point? What's this traditional digital bullshit? It doesn't make any sense. If you're a digital marketer, what do you do? More importantly, if you're not a digital marketer, what do you do? Smoke Woodbines and just work on the newspaper and the typewriter? The whole thing is nonsense. I'd like to introduce a new word called tradigital. Yeah? What traditional brands are doing with digital and vice versa. The term is stupid. But more importantly, it leads us into stupid thinking, right? The smartest guy I know on media is this guy here, Tom Goodwin, who works for Zenith Optomedia. Tom has this great quote. There is not a more meaningless divided obsession than the notion of digital media. Media channels were once clearly distinguished and named from the physical devices that we use to consume them. Radio played on radio and was audio. TV played on TVs and was moving images. Newspapers were in images in the paper, while outdoor ads were the images around us. In 2014, the naming legacy is both misleading and of no value. I listen to the radio on my phone, read the newspapers on the laptop, watch YouTube on my TV, and read magazines on my iPad. Our old media channels mean nothing, yet their names survive and mislead us into artificially limited thinking. Get rid of digital. Don't get me wrong, digital marketers, you're the future. I'm 46 years old. I drink 8 liters of very expensive French wine every week. I am not the future of marketing. You are, but you have to stop with the digital bullshit. It's going to turn into the World Wide Web. Trust me, I've seen it before. You need to grow up, come upstairs, and be a marketer. Use the digital skills, use the non-digital skills, and come up to a place we call strategy. Strategy first, tactics later. 2, kill your digital budgets. What is this bullshit, digital first? What is this bullshit where you carve out 30% of your budget and say that's for digital before you even know what your strategy is? You know what we call that? It's called bad marketing. I like insight first. I like customer first. I like brand first. I just don't like this digital first bullshit. Tactics before strategy, does that make sense to you? You're all hammers looking for nails. The minute you're a digital marketer with a digital budget, you haven't stopped and looked at the issue first and decided what's the first tool. I work for very digital companies, 2 very famous brands that are 100% this year, will spend 100% of their global budgets only on digital tools. I'm super cool with that because we didn't start the planning process with a digital budget. We started it with a budget and decided digital was the best thing to deliver for this year. That's a big difference from a digital first budget. Now, I said that in an interview last year for the Sydney Morning Herald, and I must confess, I was in France at the time, and I was slightly pissed, okay? So I was a little bit more effusive than normal when the woman interviewed me on the phone. But I stand by everything I said. What I said was exactly what I've just said to you, is if you've got a digital budget, you are literally a moron. And I said in the interview, if a marketer comes to me with a pre-allocated social media marketing budget, I know they're an idiot and poorly trained. I wouldn't have said it that way if I'd have been sober, but I do mean what I'm saying. And then later on I said, the hegemonic forces, I am smashed, the hegemonic forces of marketing are such that it's now career-threatening to suggest I might prefer to spend my money on TV or, God forbid, print over social media. You're not allowed to say that, and I find it distasteful. I find this dominance of digital bullshit distasteful. The next day, the article came out and I got this tweet from what I assume is someone who works in a social media agency. Melbourne Business School, Mark Ritson. Calling marketers idiots is the hallmark of profound insight. What is this dinosaur even doing at Melbourne? And I've got worse than that on social media, so I let it go. 2 minutes later, honestly gobsmacked at how behind the times Mark Ritson is. He must have Mad Men marketing nostalgia. Fine, let it go. Next one. This is so embarrassing for you, Mark Ritson, and Melbourne Business School. Shockingly out of touch. Now remember, all I've said is, don't have a digital marketing budget. And then, social media is for poorly trained idiots. Mark Ritson, please reconsider the tenure of this clown. At that point, I thought, no, I'm having a bit of this, right? So I tweeted back to the social media person, Dear Plan A, please read the article properly before you critique it. Social media budgets. You don't get it. And she replied back, I have read it, you presumptuous, arrogant fool. So I tweet back, yes, but you don't understand it. And she tweets back, really, Mark, do I not understand it? Because I don't share your Mad Men ideas, arrogant prick. And someone else tweeted, I love it when brands lose their shit. Here's the thing. She doesn't understand. Zero-based budgeting, marketing strategy, she's poorly trained, yeah? Spend all your money on digital. That's not the point. Tactics later. Start with strategy. Start with zero base. It's the only way to do it, and then decide. 3, stop the death myth of TV. I'm old enough to remember this, and those of you in your 30s, this is like the equivalent of the iPad from the 1970s, right? This is a Betamax video recorder. When it arrived, morons from the 1970s said, cinema is fucked. Oh, no one's gonna go to the cinema now because they can watch movies at home. See, it's over. Cinema continues to be among the most profitable media in the world, and every year is a better year than the last. We overstate technological implications. We underestimate how long it will take to get there. TV is not dead, it is changing. Finally, integrate. There are words that we used to use in the early 1990s, media neutral, integrated marketing, that we have forgotten, and they would be very useful at this era and point in time. This is Roel de Vries, who I think is probably the best CMO in the world right now. He works at Nissan. Here's how he runs Nissan. Everything is digital. We should not separate. We should integrate. We want to change the perception of our brand, but to do that, we need to engage, be part of the discussion. To do that, we need to create advertising that makes people sit up, sponsorships that makes our brand part of what people care about, and digital platforms that people can engage on. Good old-fashioned integration. And eventually, we might, in Canada, swing the pendulum back. All I'm asking you to do in this talk is really 2 things. First, recognize that I think digital is overrated by most marketers in Canada. Beware of the bullshit of digital video. What I've shown you in this hour isn't stuff that's passed around in Canada or talked about, and it should be. Strategy before tactics. Digital tactics, sure, but strategy first. And ask hard questions of Google and Facebook, because they need it. They're in a digital duopoly, and if they're sitting at your table when you're planning your marketing, I don't think you're doing it properly, yeah? They're fine companies, but they need to have hard questions asked of them. By the same token, TV is underrated in Canada by most. It is not dying. It kills digital for reach and engagement and will do for the foreseeable future. And even though they flew me in a plane, ask them equally hard questions. Media neutrality means treat everyone like shit because they mean to take your money. But treat the TV mob just as harshly as you treat the digital mob, and no pre-allocated budgets. And the great irony in all of this, there is one party that has made media neutral and integrated right throughout this communications revolution. All we have to do as marketers is learn to be as integrated and as seamless as the customers we target, who move from TV to phone to laptop to newspaper, almost like all of them are the same thing.